Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf and to another review video of one of the books shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. If you follow the channel and if you watched the last couple of weeks, you know that I make separate reviews for all the 6 shortlisted books. And I already filmed 4 and uploaded 4 links to those 4 you will find in the show notes. Also, you will find links to all the books and the website of the Women's Prize. And today is number 5 of the books, and I have to look at the cover. Yes, Susanna Clarke, not that I know which book, but to not hold it upside down. Anyway, today we're talking about Susanna Clarke, Piranesi. And I will now cover the E, but it's still Piranesi. Susanna Clarke published one previous novel 17 years ago in 2004, and that is, of course, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And in between her first novel and this one, she published a collection of short stories. I haven't read the short story collection, and Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell I didn't finish. It was a DNF after a couple of pages, so like 35 or something pages. It was just not for me. The premise, the story, it doesn't say anything about the quality. It was not for me, but it was a huge success for a lot of people. So her second novel was highly anticipated, of course. And I have to say, I really, really like this one. It's a strange little book. I already put that in the show notes, but I still say it with all the videos about the Women's Prize for Fiction books. There will be some spoilers about the plot. I'm not going to tell you all about the plot, but if you only want to know the premise and you are planning on reading the book and don't want to know anything else, you should probably watch this video after you read the book. So the premise of the book is hard to define. So what I will do instead is I will tell you how it opens. In the first couple of chapters, we meet our main protagonist, Piranesi. Piranesi, you might know, was an artist quite some time ago who made etchings about prisons. It's not important that you know that, but I really like this artist, so I thought, oh, okay, this is interesting. Anyway, but so Piranesi is our main character. Whether this is his real name or not, we don't know at the beginning. We will find out later, but at the beginning we don't know. And then we encounter the world that Piranesi lives in, and it's most definitely not our world. It's described like a huge building where the rooms are like a labyrinth, and you have statues in the rooms, like what we would call Greek statues, minotaurs and depicting people that we know from legend, but also real life people hunting or whatever. You have an ocean trapped in the basement of the house, and you have the sky and birds above. And Piranesi lives there alone, and he wanders the halls, and he takes care of bodies that he found there, dead bodies that he found there. He fishes, and he seems quite content. We also learn right from the start that Piranesi twice a week meets another man whom he calls the other. Piranesi believes that the other lives in a very, very far away part of the house that Piranesi has never been, but the reader quite soon realizes that the other doesn't live in that house at all. He only comes twice a week. And the other is looking for the great knowledge, and he asks Piranesi to do all kinds of things, to look at the stars, in order to find this lost knowledge. So that more or less is the premise of the book. And then through the course of the book, which is, by the way, not very long, it's about 200 and something pages, we learn who Piranesi is, who the other is. There will be 2 more people in the house, a woman called 16, and also another older man whom Piranesi calls the prophet. And about a third way into the book, we realize a little bit how people end up in that house, and the story gets becomes more of a mystery than a fantasy book, because in the beginning it really reads like this strange world, this world that doesn't exist, that was invented, but we realize later on that our real world is just, sort of a doorstep away, and that what happened to Piranesi and why he ended up in this world is constructed by the author as a mystery. That's all I will give you about the plot, but there are already some spoilers, of course, so that's why I gave you the spoiler alert in the beginning. I was really enchanted with the world that Piranesi lives in, and the questions that are asked through this story about why do we want knowledge, what do we do with knowledge, and why do we strive for knowledge? Do we strive for knowledge just, quote unquote, to know something, or do we have maybe not so benign ulterior motive in order to gain power, or in order to dominate somebody else or other people? So those questions are at the center of the book. And it's also a book about what memory means, and what it means to maybe lose your memory or only retain certain aspects of your life as a memory. And I thought that was absolutely fascinating and, enchanting. I really, really like this world. The mystery part was a good way, I felt, from the author to connect this very, very strange world, this house, with our real world, because the connection is the mystery plot. And I would say, for 80%, the plot was also quite well constructed. But there were a couple of things that I felt, and I mentioned that in a previous video, I think about the vanishing half. I don't like the coincidences thing. If there is, for instance, Piranesi in the house has a certain item with him, and once we learn where Piranesi comes from, it is explained why he had that item on him when he came to the house. And that just didn't make sense. I could just see the author thinking, well, he needs this item, so I'm just gonna throw it in there in his backpack, and for no other reason than that he needs it in the house. And I just don't like stuff like that. The coincidence is one of the things that I'm really irked the most with plot. So there were a couple of these minor issues for me, but the overall impression of the book was that it was really very different, and thought-provoking and enchanting to read. And the other qualm that I had with the book was that the last third, let's say, felt rushed. So it was as if this was actually a bigger book. And just keep in mind, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is a huge book. It's like 700 pages or something. So this felt as if the author didn't want to write another big book, but she had ideas for a big book. So the last third, I felt, could have been definitely 150 pages, 200 pages longer, because it just felt, pushed through. But overall, I felt that this was a really engaging read. It was different. The language was beautiful. I really liked the main character, not in terms of that he was a likable character. I don't care about that. But how he was described, I thought was just really wonderful. So I had a great time, and I can tell you another spoiler alert, Kathleen and Adam really enjoyed the book as well. So this was number 5 for my Women's Prize for Fiction shortlisted books. There's one more to come, hopefully this week or next week, but I will finish all 6 books before the prize is announced, and I will also film a video with my final ranking. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. As always, I'm very much looking forward to your comments, and I'll see you all soon in the next one.